was looking for toxin-free products for her baby, couldn't find it, decided to start a brand with her husband. It boomed. They're looking at IPO plans, and the rest, as they say, is history. Are you confused about who I'm talking about? Well, don't be. I'm talking about the dynamic duo behind Mamaearth. That's Ghazal Alagh as well as Varun Alagh, who are with us in our studios. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining in. So let's just start at the beginning. You clearly identified that gap in the market, Ghazal, and that's when you had your aha moment, I guess.
Absolutely. I think when we were blessed with our first son, Agastya, there was a dearth of toxin-free, safe and natural products here in India. We couldn't find them. We were relying on getting products from outside of India, and that just prompted us to do something about it while nobody else was thinking about it back then. And that's how Mamaearth came into existence with just 6 baby care products back then. That was the vision that we had. We thought even if we were able to help like 10,000 parents, we will be in a good position. But God was kind, our consumers loved us, and they showed us the way forward from just a baby care brand. Now we are into adult category as well, with hair, skin, body and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Varun, just let's talk about the business model, because it is quite simple actually. You guys develop the products and then there's a contract manufacturer who produces the products. How exactly does it work?
See, I think what's important to know is that we clearly saw a gap that Indian consumers were not being served with products that are meant for Indian consumers. They were largely being served with products which were largely made for the global market and just imported for India.
Yeah.
And small things, right? When we were starting as a baby care brand, we came across this problem that, or this culture or ritual that mums use hing and coconut oil on their babies' tummies, and that's how we like to tackle colic issues or gas issues in kids, right?
I did too.
Yeah, right? So I mean, now no company is looking at that as a ritual and saying, hey, can I make a product for these guys, right? Because I don't want them to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning and warm that hing and apply that, right? So, but we were thinking like that, right? So I think the business model has been, how can we identify problems which are of Indian consumers, which are specific to India, and build and innovate products around that. And then using the new levers of digital marketing and e-commerce as a distribution. First take these products to these consumers, and as these products get the love, then take them omni-channel and scale them. So I think that's the business model that we have kind of seen really working well for us.
Yeah, and it's been a great journey, and even the personal and beauty care market in India, it's set to have a stellar growth over the next few years. So how are you guys looking to really capitalize on that growth in terms of how much is it that you're currently, which geographies you're present in, how much you're selling as of now, and what the game plan is?
So I think we are very bullish on beauty and personal care market in India. I'll tell you some facts which make us believe that, this is a great opportunity to go after. So firstly, our focus is completely India as a market. And we're going to completely focus on that market in the medium term. Because we genuinely believe that, the market has so much potential. We've just started scratching the surface. You won't believe our per capita consumption of beauty and personal care products is actually lower than Bangladesh. And we're come to our wedding, see how how much we love to look good. And hence we genuinely believe that the only way this is going to go is up. And the other thing which is going to drive it big time is women joining workforce as a trend. I think we are seeing very positive indicators. Secondary school education enrollment for girls has crossed 85% in 2018, and latest statistics are telling that it's actually crossed boys. College, and all of that tells us that actually the next couple of decades, all of these girls who are getting great education are going to come and be a part of the workforce, and that is going to really drive this market and take it to another level as well. Apart from the fact that penetration already is an opportunity, and in that growing market, we believe companies that focus on building for India, building for Indian consumers, and use the evolving data and technology drivers are going to succeed and become big. and that's our game plan.
Yeah. You know, even with respect to the categories that you spoke of, Ghazal, that you started off with just baby products and now you've expanded, what is the overall contribution for individual product categories? Which is the one that you believe will be your key growth driver?
I think what we are doing at Honasa is listening to consumers very actively and innovating basis what they are looking for. So you would see us innovating across all categories. I think amongst our portfolio, and now we have 6 brands. Skin is our largest contributing category for now, followed by hair, and then baby and body comes together. But that's also an indication of how large those markets are. So across each of our brand propositions, I think that's something that we are cognizant of, and skin continues to be our focus category.
Okay, now I'm going to ask that burning, contentious question because there was a lot of news and media about it, and I want you guys to actually clarify. There was the IPO that had been planned $200 to $300 million, and then there were reports indicating that you were looking at a $3 billion valuation. You, of course, did come out and clarify, so just clear the air for us now.
Oh, I think, we're a young company, and I think in the journey of growth, going public when you mature and reach a certain scale is a natural progression, and that's what we're looking at. And we've filed the DRHP. It's a process, including the valuation discovery process, which comes after your DRHP approval happens and you go to the market and you actually have conversations with investors. So I think we're still in the first phase of the process where we are waiting our approval on the prospectus. And once that comes in, then with our bankers, we will start planning the strategy of how we want to position it and how we want to price it.
So any timeline in mind right now?
So currently, like I said, I think we are hoping that over the next few weeks we should get the approval.
Okay.
And then we start the process of how and when we want to look at listing, because according to SEBI approval, you get 12 months post the approval to actually plan and file your RHP. And we will look at when is the best moment and time to actually do that in advice and with our consultants.
But valuation was really the bone of contention when it came to that. So given that people were likening the company to Paytm, etc., what is it that you want to say when it comes to valuation?
No, I think one, we are a FMCG company finally.
Yeah.
And that's the peer comparison that we should be done with. We are a company which is building brands. We have 6 brands, and they're all growing fabulously. We have actually cracked a market which was for decades been captured by large multinationals, and we have been able to take share in that market, and we continue to gain share quarter on quarter in those markets. So I think the comparison has to be with the likes of FMCG companies, and
no, but they've also been around very long.
Yes,
yeah.
right. So I mean, but we're growing much faster.
Yeah.
So I think when the investors will look at it, they will weigh how the company is growing and how they're investing and how they're gaining share. And I think it's a conversation process where you share some of your plans, you share your future growth potential, you share and calculate the kind of cash flows you will get in the future.
Yeah.
And that is used to arrive at what kind of valuations you would get. So I think all of those conversations
you're smiling, Ghazal. Why?
all of those conversations are still pending.
Yeah, it just makes me uncomfortable that why are we focused on valuation so much and not focusing on what we've built in the last 6 years and the value that we've created.
No, because I guess to a point, I mean the public market gives you that wake-up call, right?
Yeah, but that's a part of the process.
Yeah.
That's not the ultimate
Yeah.
goal. That's not what we are chasing. We are chasing creating value for our consumers, for people who partner with us, for us, and it's that we are focusing on. So valuation will be just an outcome. It's not something that's a goal that we want.
Right. And that's also just a day, right? I mean, after you go public, you just then remain listed for the rest of your life, right? So I mean,
it's a new
It's
journey
not the
that
be all and
begins.
end all of
Exactly,
life.
exactly.
Yeah. So just to stretch that forward in terms of what the fundraise would be used for, what are the growth plans, capex for Mamaearth?
So, one, to continue growing strongly and to continue gaining share, especially in our focused market, India, and where we are building more brands beyond Mamaearth also, which are showing exceptional results. I don't think anybody would have, any company would have built so many sizable brands in such a period of time that we would be able to do. And, so I think first focus area would be that. Second is focusing on newer channels of growth. So we're expanding in the omni-channel space, in offline, as well as opening our own stores in EBOs, right? As well as for some of our brands like Be Blunt are also expanding our salon footprints, because the product and salon businesses synergize really well. So investing in increasing that presence and investing in R&D and innovation over the next 5 years. So I think those would be the core areas of investment.
Okay. Want to also discuss financials, because you guys did manage to post a profit in FY22. What's the outlook on your projections when it comes to your profit?
So actually, we've been a profitable company for 3 years now, and we'll just continue to become better and better and playing that game. Right?
We're focusing on making our P&L stronger.
Yeah,
and growing revenue growth. What's the outlook?
So
because you enjoy very healthy gross margins as well.
Yes, we do. We do.
Yeah.
We are close to 70% gross margin company, and last year H1 we grew more than 50%, and we expect our CAGRs to sort of continue to be market beating and significantly better than the rest of the FMCG pack over the next 3 years as well. So
that's when it comes to revenues and your gross margins as well. Okay. There's also a lot of competition in the space. I mean, one can't deny that. What's the game plan? Does it affect you a lot? Is it something that you guys talk about internally, or is it just part of the process? It's also healthy.
I think competition is healthy. I think we are very cognizant of what's happening around in the ecosystem. We do end up talking about it, discussing it, but
it's not keeping you up at night.
No, our large focus and what keeps us up is what is our plan, what is our vision for our brands.
Not valuation.
Yeah. I mean, it's building brands and it's getting consumer love. I think that's something that really energizes us. We look forward to it, and that's the core.
I think very early on we realized that focusing on competition will just scare you, right? Because this is such a large sort of big competitors market, and hence focusing on consumers is a far easier thing to do, and a far better thing to do, because as long as you keep doing that and keep building for them, they will keep rewarding you.
I mean, if we were focusing on competition, we might not have started.
Yeah, possibly. And the cycle of lean innovation, that's something that you guys adopt, where you said you're listening to your consumers and you're adapting. So tell us a little bit more. What have you observed? What is the buying pattern for Indians? Is there something that they're leaning towards? Did the pandemic change things drastically?
I think consumers, what we've observed over the last 6.5, 7 years is the fact that consumers actually behave very differently on different occasions in their lives, right? So if you have a wedding to go to and you want to color your hair, you might pick up a certain product because you want long-lasting color. But if you have to use a face wash on an everyday basis, you would want a mild, natural face wash that doesn't hamper with your skin, right? So those are the kind of behaviors that our consumers are exhibiting, and I think closely understanding those behaviors and innovating basis that is something that has been helping us a lot, which is where a lot of new brands have come into existence in our portfolio as well. So for example, with the Derma company, we realized that people, when they have problems of acne or pigmentation, they want something that gives them instant solution where actives can actually play a key role. And there were people who were looking for it, and we got that into the Indian market. I think we were the first brands who talked about active ingredients here, and that brand continues to grow very strongly. And I think that's the case with each of the new brands that have come up, Be Blunt for salon-like hair at home, or Aqualogica for deep hydration for your skin if you don't want very thick, oily products. And that's going to continue even in the future.
And I think what's been really good to see over the last 6 years is how, one, India is always talked about as a price-conscious market. Right? But I think what we've seen is that it's a value-conscious market, not a price-conscious market. And people are seeking value and willing to pay the price for that value. But you need to convince them that this is going to deliver that value. So I think that's been a healthy surprise. The second, I think, learning for us has been that Indian consumer is very deep in terms of geography. And I don't think it's a metro-based market at all. And
Yeah.
more than
That
50,
tier 2 and 3
yeah,
penetration is a lot,
More than 50% of our online revenues actually come from tier 2 and
Really?
beyond.
Oh,
And,
okay.
I mean, 3,000 plus cities actually. And we have never heard or been to a lot of these cities that our consumers are actually buying from. And that's where the real purchasing power of India is. And they have because of being connected on internet, they have the inclination, they have the connect, and they now have the ability to convert that into a transaction because of e-commerce as well. So I think some of those have been very good to see.
That's good to know. So online versus offline, right now you all are looking to increase the offline penetration, but what's the breakup like?
So our breakup continues to be about 65% of the business is in online, and 35% of the business is offline. And, but of course, from a category perspective, 90% of the category is in the offline space, and hence we believe that a lot more growth can continue to come from the omni and offline strategy.
So what is the game plan to expand when it comes to stores offline?
So two different directions. One is the modern trade customers and general trade partners, which is multi-distributed retail, where we are going to be present in a lot of retail outlets which exist, which could be the supermarkets near you, the mom and pop stores near you, or a beauty counter near you, or that large modern trade chain like a D-Mart near you. And on the other hand, also open our exclusive brand stores where you can find our entire assortment present in one store in all the relevant locations. We're already there in 17 cities, and we want to continue to expand that footprint as well.
Okay. There is a bit of a concern that the fact that you're dependent on the contract manufacturers, that could affect cash flows or your business. Is there any sort of concern? Are those concerns valid, is what I mean?
See, I think if you would try and understand the industry really well, this is actually becoming the norm.
The norm.
Where people are saying that why just rely on one internal team to come up with the best formulations when you can actually source from the best across categories and bring that entire ecosystem together. So I think when it comes to hair, you have certain people who specialize in that category and give you the best of formulations, right? And similarly, people who are your ingredient manufacturers, they have certain ingredients which perform really well compared to others. And if you bring this ecosystem together, you work with all of these partners, you will actually be able to deliver the best to your consumer, and that's something that we very strongly believe in. While we have our internal R&D lab as well, a lot of our formulations also happen in-house, but then at the end of it, it's you get all the prototypes together, internal and external. You test it, you check with your consumer what's working, and whatever they choose, then you go with that. And that, I think, is bringing...
And the entire industry, honestly, large percentage of manufacturing over the last decade or so has moved towards contract manufacturing. And contract manufacturing is good because there is a specialization that is required on the manufacturing processes side, and the manufacturers do that really well. And while from an R&D perspective and innovation perspective, we do that work, and we do then technology transfer and QC processes at their end. And so I think that model actually is going to scale for everyone, not just us, and is going to continue to grow. So there is no risk that we see. Those are partners in our business, and they continue to do well.
And you have some very marquee investors as well on board. What was that like in order to, get the investors? Was it an arduous journey, or did it happen very organically? What was that like?
I think early on it was an arduous journey because, when you have a non-existent business or a very small business, attracting capital requires you to show what it can become to people, right? It is about showing a vision, showing a dream, and really selling that story. And but once you hit a certain sort of 1.5 to 2 years, you've hit your PMF, and I think after that we realized that it's actually business results. And as long as you're showing great results, great traction, great numbers, and capital will chase you. You won't have to chase capital, and good quality capital will chase you. And so I think after that, it was all about just focusing on the business and building brands. And people looked at our numbers and said, "Hey, this looks like a great business. Can we invest in it?" And we had the we had the sort of good luck of being able to choose the right partners who we wanted to bring on board, and they came on board, and it's just been a great partnership.
That's fantastic. So what's the long-term vision? What's the long-term game plan for Mamaearth? Because you really want to make it big in the personal and beauty care segment.
Yeah, so I think in the longer term, if I can say what's our wish,
yes,
our wish is to see our company Honasa be the #1 choice of consumers when it comes to anything personal and beauty and personal care. That's what we are building towards, and I think Mamaearth continues to grow year on year. We still, we see that brand to become like a large, really loved consumer brand over the next decade as well. And yeah, I mean that's our wish. That's what we are working towards.
Have an interesting segment. It's like a startup quickfire. I'm going to ask both of you, given that you work together, tell us a little bit more about you guys. So first up, who spends more time on the phone in the day on average? Point.
Has to be me.
Oh wow, you're admitting to it that you do spend more time.
I do.
Is it majority work?
It is majority work.
You're saved.
Yes. No, so I ditch my laptop sometimes and do most of my work
on the phone,
on the go, traveling between office, home, and all of that. I think I do a lot of that, and apart from that, also just Instagramming. I mean,
following and checking out trends.
Because you guys are big on influencers as well when it comes to Mamaearth.
Yes,
so
you
have a legit excuse now to be on Instagram and scroll. Okay, who takes longer to get dressed?
Of course.
Definitely.
has to be me. Yeah, come on.
Okay, so who spends more time at the office? Is it equal or?
Actually, largely equal.
Yeah.
Largely equal.
Okay. Who's the bad cop at work? Like, who's the one who's delivering all the bad news and getting strict and stuff?
Yeah, that is me.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank God you're not showing me that side today. And who gives better advice?
Oh, all right.
Oh, okay. Just be the good husband and say that. So, do you have any advice, you guys, for, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of like 20-year-olds who are thinking of becoming entrepreneurs, and I know you said just go for it, find out how you fail, etc. So, would that really be the advice?
Yeah, I think till the time you don't take that first step, you're actually just thinking, will it work, will it not work, getting consumed in what happens when, etc. And that I feel can be avoided if you take that first step and you get into it. You will actually put in all your effort towards achieving it, and you'll know if it works or if it doesn't work. So you get to a phase where you have that peace of mind. Where do you really want to be? So yeah, I mean, I strongly advise that take that first step. And second, especially to women in workforce, business, entrepreneurship, I always say ask for help. I mean, sometimes we feel that all of it is unto us and it's our responsibility and we are the only ones who are supposed to take care of everything, and that becomes too much. That also sometimes becomes the reason for you to back out. And that's not ideal. So to ask for help, actually people around us are really good. When we ask for help, we get a lot of it as well. So
yeah. Okay, that's great. So we've gotten a lot of advice from you guys. We've understood a lot more about the business as well. So thank you so much, Ghazal, as well as Varun, for coming by.
Thank you for having us.